And let's get started with Adobe Premiere Pro software. This is one of the most widely used video editing softwares across the world, and Adobe has a lot of other softwares in this creative suite, and this is the 2017 version. And let's get started. You will all be seeing a different dialog box depending upon your computers and how many projects you've been using. And this is something that you can get started by clicking on new project. Once you click on new project, you will get a dialog box something similar to this. I'm going to go with demo class. It's always recommended you come up with a name that is something that you can identify yours with. Always try to give a name so that it's easy for you to get back at some point. Don't be confused with all this other stuff that you can see here. These are nothing but the processing capabilities of the software. Sometimes it depends upon the RAM, the speed, processors, and all this stuff, so don't worry about all this stuff. But I would just kind of simply talk to you about some of the stuff that you see here on the scratch disk. Sometimes people will be working with external hard drive or other flash drive. I would suggest, if you want to use that, so that you try to store this at a location that you want. But right now, I'm going to stick with, storing all my data in my hard drive within my computer. But if you're doing an working with an external hard drive, then you should change all this. You should change your location to browse wherever your external hard drive is. And I would always suggest your project auto save should be saved in somewhere as an external, because what if your computer crashes? I strongly believe in having multiple backup, but again, if you don't have an external hard drive, it's fine. And ingest settings talks about sometimes you will have to import video either from a camera or from deck. And sometimes this will be very useful, but right now I think you don't have to worry about anything. All you have to do is click on OK, and you will come to a box something similar to this. And you can see a lot of tabs: assembly, editing, color, effects. It's always recommended that you are in your assembly, so that you can import your files, or see where your files that you want to use for your software editing. um, for instance, I've stored all my stuff in my desktop, and it's under shorts folder. I can double click on that and I can see all my videos here in one place. And sometimes you'll be asking, I only see something like this. It's because you have your settings in list view, where it only gives you the list of the videos that you see. If you want to see a thumbnail, you have to click on the thumbnail view, and it gives you all the details of the videos. And I can look at the content of my videos just by moving my thumbnail, my mouse across my thumbnail, and I can see the content of my video. So that it kind of gives you an understanding of what kind of video that you're working on. So that's a nice way. And if you want, I can just press Command A and select all, and I can say import, and it's importing all my files into my project demo class. So I can see all my stuff, and if I press my tilde key, I can see everything in detail as a full screen monitor. I press my tilde key again, it's going to bring back to its original position. And let's go into my editing tab, and as you can see in my editing tab, I can see everything in my project demo class. And you can see there is another arrow mark over here. When you click on this, it gives you all the other options. What are the histories that you can see, or if you want the effects panel. So that's something, it can come in very handy. Don't be intimidated. Oh, I don't have the tab in my project bin. Don't worry, all you can do is go click on window, and whatever panel that you're missing, if you click on that, it's going to pop up in your project bin, or whatever bin that you're working in. So again, it's a very, very simple interface. I want to quickly talk to you about the editing interface that you see right now. See, as you can see, there are four distinct pane here, and the first right left bottom corner you have something called the project bin, where you can see all the stuff that you're working on. And sometimes you can import stuff from your Adobe stock and all the stuff, and gives you all the information about the project that you're working in. For instance, I can see what kind of video file it is, that it was shot at the 30 frames per second, and it's 1280 by 720, and the audio is 48,000 hertz. So all the metadata you can see with the info panel. And if you want to go to the pane right above your project bin, which is also called the source pane, all you have to do is press shift 2. Shift 1 is your project bin, shift 2 is your source pane, shift 3 is your timeline, and shift 4 is your program. So trying to be familiar with these shortcuts can make your life much easier when you're working on the editing table. You can also click on the pane to go to that pane, but having a shortcut understanding of how it works makes your life easier. So shift 1 project bin, shift 2 source pane, shift 3 timeline, and shift 4 is your program. So let's look at how all these works. For instance, I'm going to look at this shot, and I can just play.
Up close and personal, V.
So you'll be able to see the content of the video in this source pane, and you can see which one you want. I think I want exactly when it pans from the subject's face to the monitor. So it's very simple. I can just wherever I want, I can just press I, which stands for input, and exactly, and I want that as my output. So as you can see, this is my input and output. I can either drag and drop onto my timeline like this, or Command Z, or all I can do is I can just press insert, which is also going to bring my shot into my timeline. So you can do that multiple ways. See, that's the fine features that's there incorporated in Adobe Premiere Pro, where you can do one thing in multiple ways. I can either drag and drop, or I can use this insert, or I can use a shortcut command, which is comma. I'm going to press I'm going to press comma. It's going to bring in my video onto my timeline. So this is how you import your video from your computer hard drive into your editing software. And I'm going to play this. As you can see, your timeline and your program monitor are interconnected. Whatever you see, you can see pretty much on your program monitor, which is nothing but your output monitor. So this is a very simple, intuitive interface of Adobe Premiere Pro, and you shouldn't be having any problem. So I've actually incorporated a few scenes which you can use and try to make a sequence. And again, this will be a kind of a good way for you to get started with how to create a sequence. And I also labeled it as pan and tilt and all that stuff, so that you can pretty much use it. I'm going to make this so I like the still down. I can press can. So I can either drag and drop, or I can use this one override, where it's going to pretty much bring in my footage onto my timeline. So yeah, just try to experiment, play around with all the visuals, and I think it'd be a fun way for you to be getting familiar with how Adobe Premiere Pro works. And if you have any questions, feel free to get in touch with me.